Hey guys, Kyle the Death Knight Running here, bringing you my review for My Hero Academia, chapter 141. And first thing to note off is Tamaki. I like how even though from the last chapter we see how Tamaki got that I guess big power up in his resolve to fight again. I like how even though all that happened from the last chapter, he was still struggling in this chapter because you can see he was using his he was still using his tentacles in order to try and bind and confine them in order to capture them. But you pretty much see in this chapter that because of the villains working together, he's basically still struggling, which also is interesting because in most superhero lore, whether it's DC, Marvel, or whatnot, I've noticed a pattern where most of the villains they don't really work together. They pretty much just only work in order to achieve their own goals. And while that may be the case here, technically, it's being presented in a way where yes, even the both the heroes and the villains both pretty much have a sense of friendship and a sense of teamwork and just some friendship and teamwork, and that was that was definitely one of the things that was definitely pushed in this chapter because what can I say? Like again, it's showing what I haven't said before. Again, this chapter is also showcasing just how fucked up just society in general can kind of reaps exactly what they sow. Because in this chapter we learn that a we learned that the three villains that Tamaki is facing, one was kind of discarded by society. Another, his lover basically just abandoned him, and the other worked for basically a money grubbing old miser, as he put it, who pretty much abandoned him when he found out that the gems he created weren't exactly able to be sold for money or anything. So it's it's really interesting how we as a society can sometimes think we're basically the law-abiding citizens, so we don't have to worry that everyone else who commits crimes and whatnot, they're all a piece of shit. But when you really kind of open your eyes, and whatnot, and you look at the bigger picture, we we're basic we in a way are responsible for basically creating these goddamn situations. I mean, I hate to I hate to bring politics into this. I really do, but just look at what's going on with fucking in the fucking U.S. right now. Like, I'm not gonna get into much detail beyond that because I don't want to turn this into a political debate. But yeah, like all I'm gonna say is just look what happens in the U.S. right now, and you'll see that like the whole freaking that everyone that everyone just situations in general, depending on what the situation is, they can be responsible for creating these villains, these criminals and whatnot. So yeah, it is pretty interesting in that respect. Also, also I really like the little touch of I really like the little touch. Another thing I really like about this episode, honestly, is a little touch of Tamaki's inner monologue in this one, and how well, in this one, he said that they were how, after their whole explanation of how each one was tossed up by society, and how each one was how each one was was offered the chance for revenge by Overhaul. It's one of those things where technically you could say that Tamaki, but at the end of the day, like I explained, it's a little more complicated than that. Like it's more than just simple brainwashing, dude. It's got a lot more to do with just how society treats others, pretty much. But it is interesting to note how even though he was fighting, it is interesting to see how even though Tamaki knew he was fighting villains, he could still in a way have a bit of respect for them, have a bit of respect for them, be, pretty much because that they had this whole camaraderie and this whole friendship and and this ability in order to work together as a team. Like you could see that just by seeing these three those particular three of the 8 precepts of death working together as a team, you could see he definitely had a lot of respect. You could see that as just as a hero, even though he was a hero and they were villains, those were basically only titles that society had branded them as. But even though they were separated by those 2 titles, you could still find a bit of respect for them because pretty much because you can still find respect for them because they were pretty much trying. They were working together as a team, and he could respect that because he himself has experienced that with basically basically with everyone around him, So yeah, it is interesting in order to see how both that even though society brands these two separately, heroes and villains can of course still find some things in order to find common ground with, and maybe one day, maybe just maybe it's. I hate to go down this whole Naruto route, but maybe one day it'll come to a point where maybe these misunderstandings of course won't be as prominent, and there'll be a little bit more of a peace between the two. Who knows? A little bit more of peace between the two, and maybe once people start understanding quirks a lot more too. I think because actually that's another thing. That's another thing I guess in a way we could take away from this chapter is that a lot of this misunderstanding. I think it comes from a lot of this branding and misunderstanding. I think a lot of it even comes from the misunderstanding of quirks. Like for instance, with for instance with Overhaul's quirk or with Overhaul's quirk or even Shake. Even in the beginning of the series, when we see Shigaraki, we basically see that Overhaul and Shigaraki's quirks are basically used for more or less destruction, and that only because those quirks were basically used as destruction, used for destruction. I think society decided that those guys pretty much can destroy. So we need to brand them as villains immediately and fear them. So yeah, that's another thing I took away from this chapter is that it'll like all these. I think there needs to be more understanding about quirks if the peace between heroes and villains and whatnot is to be any established of any type. Honestly, like yeah, this chapter was honestly great. Like it showcased Tamaki being a badass and just how, and again, like it's something I know My Hero Academia wants to push a lot, but again, it just showcased just how society can kind of be a little fucked up if we just open our eyes if we just open our eyes a little bit wider to what's really going on, honestly. But um but yeah, guys, like yeah, and from the looks of the last page in this chapter, it looks like the whole fight with Tamaki and those 3 precepts is over. So I imagine that next chapter is going to be focused on Izuku and rescuing Emery. I think at this point. So and I think yeah, I think that this battle's over, and we might get a little wrap up in the next chapter, but I think from here it's going to focus on the rescue on Emery's rescue at this point. I think, and but and at that point I think we're going to get a lot more on Overhaul too. Like we've already gotten a lot on Overhaul as is, but should be interesting to see exactly what the confrontation between Izuku Overhaul and 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 Togata. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, or follow me on Twitter and Facebook. I'm sorry this one was all over the place, guys. I'm a little brain dead right now, but yeah, guys, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, or follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Death Knight of Enemy, signing off.